Hey, hey! This past weekend, there was a little bit of controversy at the Nitro JBRL down at Thunder Alley Raceway. Adam Drake attempted to put a block pass on Ryan Cavalieri, and it kind of went sideways. And long story short, Adam doesn't regret going in for the pass, but kind of wishes he would have waited. Cavalieri pretty much took it all in stride, but I thought it would make for a pretty interesting video if we went to the racers themselves and we let the racers that were involved in this whole thing share their opinions with you guys. And so that's what we're going to do. Don't judge me. Don't judge my interview skills. I'm a schmedium interviewer at best. Really, these guys I both consider friends, and I thought this was just a unique circumstance to grab them, let them tell you the story, and then wrap it up. So I hope you guys get a kick out of this, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Hey, everybody. Jay here. I'm back with another video for you guys today. Over this past weekend, there was a fair bit of controversy when two of the guys that are in this Zoom call had a little bit of contact in the last corner of the last lap of Expert Nitro Buggy. Of course, Adam Drake and Ryan Cavalieri have battled it out many, many times on the track over the years. And this time, Adam made it across the finish line first. And a lot of people kind of didn't, I think a lot of people made a snap judgment. And after having a chance to talk to both Adam and Ryan, I thought it would be pretty interesting to get them both on a call and give you their takes. And after we hear from them, we'll take a look at the video in real time, because we all know that real-time decisions are never perfect, and we'll look at it in slow motion so we can kind of take a more in-depth analysis of the video. So I guess that's it. Adam, Ryan, thanks for showing. Oh yeah, last but not least, of course, Team YouTube's on the call. Ryan Harris is here. If you guys don't know, Ryan works with me over at Raw Speed, and he's going to be doing some monitoring and possibly editing, if we start, talking too much. I don't know anybody that would do that, but all right. So I guess Adam, Ryan, I'm glad you guys decided to come on the call. First things first, is there any massively hard feelings? Are you guys ready to duke it out, or, anything like that?
No, I think we basically ran, Nitro Buggy was the first race up. So we basically had to race E-Buggy and Truggy all together as well and race out. So there's no hard feelings. Like, I'm totally fine. I mean, Adam helps me out a bunch with our engines and whatnot. And we've been friends for over 20 years. So obviously everybody has a little bit of a moment in racing, and we clashed a little bit, let's say. And you know what? We've been racing, the series. This was the third race in, and, we're all obviously going for, the overall, and things happen. So
can you give us a walkthrough, basically the last couple corners of that last lap? Looks like Adam tried getting under you before the whoops. Can you kind of start us out there and kind of walk us through the end?
Yeah, last two laps we were going pretty good. He kind of got pretty close, and then I kind of stretched it out. I felt like just enough. I was kind of thinking that he was going to maybe possibly jump on top of that back section and just make up a little bit of time, but he didn't. And so I felt like I didn't need to cut the next corner as much. And you could see in the video, he basically jumped almost right behind me. And that's where I kind of lost a lot of time, I would say. And then we were basically going over that next double. I slightly cased it. We were jumping the basically a tabletop double, let's say, almost side by side. And then we both tripled, singled in, and then we, just kind of tapped the rear, and we kind of got just held into each other, basically. And then once the marshal kind of grabbed us, he kind of picked my car up and set me up, honestly, on the worst side of the whoops, because we were holding the inside, and you could basically almost hold it flat wide open, for a couple seconds, and then you kind of would just let off and then dive inside for the next corner. So basically when we were going through there, we were almost even, and I knew going into the last triple, it was already pretty challenging as it was. The run that I had wasn't that great.
You're saying the last triple before the wall turn, right?
Yeah. So basically when I was going into the whoops, or let's say exiting out of the whoops, I could already see my engine was a little bit smokier than if I were to hammer out the whoops and just keep it on the gas, just on the pipe. And then, so when I would jump the triple, I was basically stretched out as much as I could. You can see even from the video, I tried to kind of block where I could go just a smidge further just to get a little bit more run. And basically I was on the more outside, where typically I was more on the middle to inside, I would say, every other lap. But just the way that the whole whoops and then the next corner were, it set me up on the worst end of, like, let's say going into the wall. And then basically once you hit the landed the triple, you had like a little bit of a bump and it kind of launched your car into the wall ride. And let's just be honest, like when you hit the wall ride, like everything kind of slides a little bit, like you're not sticking it. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say I was on maybe a little bit further than I would like to be, you know.
You're saying you're a little bit farther. You're saying you were a little bit maybe further outside on the wall ride than you wanted to be?
Yes, just because of the way that I was lined up for the triple. I just couldn't get my car as tight, let's say.
So basically
over the jump. I was more worried about making the jump at that point. And yeah, I just didn't have that great of a run. And that's basically where it all ended, you know. So
Adam, before we jump over to the Drake, it sounds correct. You guys can all correct me if I'm wrong, but this is kind of the takeaway for me. Basically, when the marshal threw you down, he kind of threw you down in a spot that you weren't confident in. So you weren't able to kind of rip it through the whoops to keep the engine cleaned out. So then you kind of jumped that triple, giving it all she's got, ended up kind of a little bit out of position. And that's where Adam basically had a chance to kind of drive up under you. Sound about right?
Yeah, he definitely had the better, I guess, line. You know, let's just say, like, obviously he was still behind me, but it was just he was on a little bit better of the sides of things.
And that was all set up from the marshal. Like when, honestly, the turn before the whoops, when we got into it, I basically at that point was like, okay, I charged at the end. I got into him. We let him go, and we finish. Ryan wins. I get second.
Sure.
Well, then when the marshal set us down, he set us down side by side, which I didn't think was right.
In the whoops you're talking about.
In the video, like he set us side by side, and I kind of hesitated because I'm like, he should be in front, just like he was in front going into the corner before I got into him. But the bad thing was for Ryan was not only did he set us side by side, Ryan was then set to the left, which was the deeper part of the whoops.
Right.
So it was like a struggle for him to go through the whoops, but he still had the inside where I could just kind of, like he said, like clean my engine out, be on the outside, which then gave me the inside. So when he struggled through the whoops and we went into the next turn, I was like, I've got another shot. Like where before that I was like, hey, I got into him. He should lead away. And unless he like cases the triple, I get second.
Sure.
But with me being on the outside, it also gave me a bigger run at the triple. And I'm on the inside. And obviously, I mean, 100% I own it. I was going for it. You know, you're in the heat of the moment. Like we battled the whole race. We exchanged the lead, but we were never more than like, you know, a few seconds apart, whether I was leading or he was leading. And I went into the wall tighter than I normally would, as he was coming down the wall wider than he normally would. And we obviously got together. Again, totally my fault.
Well,
and my thing, like when I saw, like we both ended up on our wheels, but Ryan was actually pointing the right direction just outside the pipe, and I was pointing like backwards. So in my head, I'm just panicking like, you got it. Like I need to whip around so I whip around and go to take off as he's taking off, and he hit the pipe and flipped, like where I should have just stopped.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget who was marshaling there, but like, I literally like, I felt like I drove around him and then I lost my car. I was like, and then I literally like jointed on the pipe.
We're going to show the footage. So I actually looked at this pretty carefully. Adam, when I was texting you, like teasing you this morning, I actually took the footage and I actually slowed it down. I just used my
possible picture where it looked as bad
like
as it could possibly look.
So look, he went up there and you can look, we'll show everybody the real footage, but he basically went up the wall and he was a little wider. And it looked like he had basically just about hit the apex where he was going to turn down. And you came across right here. And what happened is it looks like if you guys wouldn't have made contact, you may have been able to have a drag race together. But what happened is he turns down, and as soon as his wheel clips yours, you guys just do one of these.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much grip when you get there. Like every lap, you basically just slide the wall.
Yeah, you're just slipping.
There's not 100% control there.
Well, I guess here are a few questions. Number one, Cav, if you had to do that, if you would have been in Adam's shoes, would you have tried to go for the inside pass? If you saw a gap, would you have put the car there as a professional?
I mean, like Adam said, I mean, like everybody would attempt to, you know what I mean? Like you know, it's just racing. Everybody's going to have that instinct to try to go for it. So, I mean, I don't fault him for going for it.
Yeah. Okay. So
The problem was me not giving the position back, which again, I totally own that as well. And I mean, Ryan and I, like was just mentioned, we've raced 3 rounds of this series in 3 different classes. We've had good races. Everything's been a lot of fun.
Well, there's always been mutual respect.
More of like the chaos of like, oh my gosh, he's pointing the right direction. I'm pointing the wrong direction. I got to go, instead of like thinking clearly. And
well, you and I had this talk a little bit earlier on the phone, and you said it best, and you said, Jay, obviously this is a little bit personal, but you said what disappointed you was that, if it was even questionable, I should have just waited. Yeah. But we both know that we've been on the track a billion times, and had you guys been able to come off the track and drag race, and let's just say hypothetically you guys got on the track at the exact same time, and let's just say you would have outmotored them by 6, 7, 8, 10 inches, whatever, maybe that would have been more legit in your mind anyways. But here's maybe this is a little bit of an overarching question for this topic. Where does the race director, does he bear any responsibility in these moments? And I'm not talking about just Jimmy as an instance, because this was a JBRL. I'm saying when we're traveling the country or the world or whatever, in what situation is there a situation where the race director should be like, hey, no, like that doesn't stand?
I feel like they penalize during the race, but on like final laps and whatnot, like, we've seen situations that they don't really ever say anything. But like, obviously if it was during the race, what's that?
But should they?
I think so.
I think every situation has its time, but I mean, I think they just kind of go like for the RC code. I feel like last lap, it's like, obviously you're going to just take that, and just feel like not great, but, from yourself. And then you're going to like have that, hold that. And, I've been on both sides. It's not like where it's not going to, we're going to be racing this weekend. We're going to be racing next weekend, the race after that. It's so you kind of forget about it, but until your next race, you kind of go, okay, like it just sucks to deal with. Like,
yeah.
So I saw some comments today. I read through some of the comments on somebody's post. I don't know whose it was. And it's interesting because there's obviously people that see it both ways. And I think one of the things, one of the guys brought up sponsorship money and stuff like that. And obviously we're not going to get into your guys' paychecks and stuff like that.
That has nothing to do with it. We're racers. You're competitive. When you're in the moment, you try to win. Like,
I agree.
And I mean, yes, there may be times where someone's thinking about the money at a nationals, a world championship, and they're going to say, just put it in the hands of the race director. This was obviously not the case. It's a JBRL. Right. Granted, like, it's a big series. It's competitive. It's a long series. So you put a lot of time and effort into it. But at the end of the day, we race to try to finish the best we can and to go for the win. So I don't really, I mean, again, I've said it 100 times, like, I own that I went for it. I'm not like bummed that I went for it. Like, I would have been bummed if I just settled for it, like, just going for it, I don't think was the problem. The problem was that if there's any question, gray area, was that clean, dirty, you just give the spot back. And in most situations, the racers take it upon themselves, and they do that, and they do the right thing.
Hey, Heinz, listen, you can't drive a car staring out of the rearview mirror. It's like hindsight is always 20/20. It's always easy to look back and say, it's always easy to look back and reanalyze and understand what we should have done. Real-time decisions, those are the tricky ones, right? And I was talking to Cavalieri earlier, and we were kind of laughing a little bit. He's like, Jay, I'm not going to lie. Like, I go out there and I give it my all, and I want to win. he's like, but I definitely feel like at the super high level, like nationals or worlds, he's like, I'm not going to lie. I might be extra vigilant and extra cautious. And I might be maybe even a little bit more aggressive in those last few moments. He was like, I didn't really know if Adam would try to send it in, but then I saw him sending it in or whatever. And it's like, I think the very nature, what makes every person probably sitting in this call, and of course, probably even watching this call, what makes us, it's that competitive nature. We all want to win. Nobody wants, it doesn't matter. Last lap, it ain't over till we cross the line and the tone ends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I mean, even, everybody, we've definitely given the people some good races in the last 3 races that, and, I think from anybody's point of view, they can have their comments and whatnot, but I think overall, I mean, there's a good amount of people watching us race. So, I mean, it's just what it is, we've given the people a lot to look forward to, once, they step into the pro division, and it's just things happen. I mean, in any industry. So,
well, to me, it's encouraging. It's encouraging to see. It's encouraging for me to see you guys, knowing that you've raced so many times. And, I think we can all admit, I don't think whether it's me or Ryan Harris or nobody has been on the track and not punted somebody at some point or another. Right. Yeah. And sometimes we feel bad for it, and sometimes maybe we don't. But I think it's encouraging to see that you guys as pros can go out there, compete. Adam, it sounds like Adam kind of maybe had a little revelatory moment, a moment where he kind of learned a little bit more about his attitude on the stand. And, like he's saying, it takes a lot of spine to stand up and publicly admit when you've done something wrong, I guess. Whether it's a little thing or a big thing, it's not easy to stand up and say, yeah, you caught me, I messed up, and I respect that a bunch.
I think, Ryan said, like, we've known each other and raced together for like so long. We've had so many good battles, and we've each been on the winning or losing end of it. And it wasn't, it was just, I guess, getting caught up like in the moment. Again, like going for the pass was like, when we went through the whoops, I was like, damn, I got one more shot. I just got to get to the inside.
This boy's in trouble.
But then like when it happened, I'm like, that sucks. But then when it was like when I saw he was pointing the right direction and like 3 feet in front of me, I'm like, I'm done. I got to go. And I looked at my car and punched it. And then I like crossed the line. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
dude, it's a heat of the moment thing. And that's anybody that has raced anything in life, whether it's BMX or dirt bikes or RC cars or whatever, you have these moments where it gets away from you, dude, and I don't know. I guess before we wrap this baby up, I think this was pretty interesting. We'll show all the footage and stuff. Before we wrap this up, did we agree that we think that it's, to some degree, the race announcer should draw the line somewhere, or where do we stand on that?
I do think so. I think that the race director can set the tone for the racing, just, people knowing that.
Yeah, maybe not calling everything.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like the cars and radios are in our control. But sometimes I think the race directors or organizers should, again, at least set the tone. They're kind of like the directors, putting on the event. But we also need to be responsible for our own actions and driving.
Yeah. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm trying to point the finger, or that any of us are trying to point the finger. You said it best. We hold the radio. We are responsible, but it's kind of important to know where the kind of the limits, the rules. You know what I mean?
Obviously, like the bigger races, there's more officials and stuff like that. So there's maybe more people watching the race. The announcer can't watch everyone, but when it is like the lead battle coming down to the end,
on the last corner of the last lap.
I've been in this situation before too. The Worlds in 16, I think it was with Tesla.
You mean when you jumped the corner?
I came down. I shorted the tabletop, came on the inside. I was actually on the inside too.
I remember you got
And we
protested.
kind of went wheel to wheel, and I just got him. Like, basically, we bumped, and his car went flipping right before the line, and I crossed right in front of him. And yeah, they penalized me the spot. So I mean, the directors have, obviously, there are times where things happen like that, but I mean, it's most of the time it's in the driver's hands, I guess.
All right. Well, before we wrap this up, Adam and Ryan, would you guys like to say anything to the people that support your brands and your products and your you as racers?
Yeah, for me,
I think.
Or go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just want to thank, all the brands that support me over the years, all the people that, watch the YouTube channel and, send messages and things like that. Especially now with all the craziness and the COVID going on, it's cool to see so many people at the races and some of these smaller events getting bigger turnouts. And, it's cool. RC is really fun on all levels, whether you're doing it for fun, bashing as a hobby, or like Ryan and myself, as our job. And just, thank you to everyone for, watching and supporting that.
Right?
Yeah, I would say, like, just thanks for everybody, like, that's gotten us to race this year. I mean, we were going from, a few events at the beginning of the year to shut down for a few months. So it's been nice. That's why I kind of took on, I was going to start racing the JBRL series, because that was the first race kind of back. And then I was kind of like, I've been into it. Like, every time we go and we, get to simulate some pit stops and just have some good racing. And what we've showed a lot of people some good, some races. And every time we come off the track, everyone's like, pumped to see, so I'm just happy that we are able to show some, some good racing for all the guys that are there watching and even racing themselves. So,
cool.
We'll be, back at it again.
Couple weeks. All right, you guys, thanks for taking a second to, I guess, just to share this moment with the world. Obviously it's one thing as an outsider looking in, but I really feel like you guys offered up something really unique by kind of sharing your takes and your perspectives. I think it was pretty awesome of Adam to say, hey, hell yeah, I'm always going to go for it, and said, hey, maybe it was a learning moment. I have those every day. Every time I do something I wish I maybe wouldn't have done or could have done better. So I appreciate you guys taking some time to do this. And I guess we'll wrap it up from here. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All
right, talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Okay, well, that's it. You got to hear from Adam and Ryan. You got to hear both of their takes. I think all in all, part of the human experience is just learning from our mistakes each and every day. And I don't think Adam had any malice. I don't think he was intentionally trying to just crash anybody. To me, it really looked very much in the slow motion footage that I showed you guys that Cavalieri kind of went up and had kind of started to make his arc, and Adam was kind of underneath. And when Cavalieri when his car started his front wheels made contact with Adam's rear wheels, that was pretty much all she wrote. There was no chance that either one of them were making the corner at that point, and they were heading to the pipe. And then you saw the way it ended. So hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.